2 years. It has been 2 years since the Nintendo Switch first launched in March of 2017. And man, what a ride it's been. I simply cannot freaking believe that it's already been 2 years. It almost seems like the system is still brand spanking new, right? It feels like it just came out and we're still waiting on new games and new announcements and new returning entries in some of our favorite franchises. But no, it's been 2 years, and in fact, we've had plenty of new games. We've had plenty of returning entries in some of our favorite franchises. In most of our favorite franchises, we've even had some new IPs. It's been an insane ride, and here we are 2 years later. So basically, if you can't tell, what I kind of wanted to do for this 2-year sort of anniversary of the Switch is just kind of celebrate it by discussing it. Talking about the console, talking about the journey leading up to the console, talk about some of the things that we've seen happen since the Switch launched and where Nintendo's at, and just my kind of overall opinion and perspective. I know every YouTuber under the sun who covers video games and Nintendo is doing this. We all expect the 2-year anniversary stuff, the 3-year anniversary. We all did it for the 1 year. And so, you know, hey, it's fun. I love the Switch and I love Nintendo, man. I'm an equal opportunity gamer that plays on all consoles and loves them. But you guys know, I cover and talk about mostly Nintendo here because they're my favorite. And so the Switch, 2 years in, how does it really stack up? Where does it fall in terms of Nintendo's legacy compared to the competition on the market, the PS4 and the Xbox One, as we now prepare to probably see those things go to the wayside for their new iterations? I mean, man, I just love the Switch. I've obviously talked about it a lot. It does overall, you know, feel like my favorite console on the market because it is playing Nintendo's fantastic games. You know, one of the things, when I think about the Nintendo Switch here at year 2, I think about what the insane journey and ride leading up to the Nintendo Switch was and what that felt like. If you guys can remember what things were like with Nintendo and the state of the company, the state of even YouTube and people like myself discussing Nintendo and video games at that time, up until that October 2016 reveal of, hey, the Nintendo NX is actually the Switch. No one really knew what to expect. There were tons of rumors. We were living in the era of the Nintendo NX, man. That dominated the conversation, and it dominated our lives as YouTubers talking about Nintendo for like 2 years. It was like almost all we were talking about, all we were thinking about, all we were discussing. It was very exciting, don't get me wrong. And I actually have fond memories of those times. And in fact, I remember during those days when I was doing a podcast, The Juice is Loose at the time, pretty regularly, and I was making my own videos, usually discussing NX stuff, I remembered saying that several times, like, I think we're going to look back on these days, as frustrating as they are now, we're going to look back on them fondly. And we're going to remember, oh, those days when it was the Nintendo NX and it was a mystery and we were hearing new things every day. Some of it could be true, a lot of it could be made up hoaxes and nonsense, and who even knows what is Nintendo doing? What will the NX truly be? And I just knew that we, or at least myself, I should say, would look back on that and have great memories of it. And I do. I certainly do. Because what I remember of the Nintendo NX time is just that crazy wonder of what is this thing that Nintendo is working on behind the scenes in the lower bunker all the way up the bottom of their facility in the most secret, top secret, back hidden room. They have these people working on this thing called the NX. And it was just so hard to think about what it was going to be, but it was fun. And there were, like I said, every day was a new article or a new rumor. Only Eurogamer got it right. Eurogamer was the one who kind of broke the doors open with that little diagram that showed basically what the Switch is. And most of us didn't believe it. You know, I put very little stock in it. I think I was always open to it possibly being real, but I overall didn't really believe it. And sure enough, it turned out to be true. So I just think that that is one of the most unique cases in history that we might not ever see again. The way the mystery and conversation and rumor mill around the NX to then become the Switch was, it was just an awesome time. And so that kind of leads us into that October reveal, and suddenly the Switch is exactly what Eurogamer said, a portable home console hybrid with detachable controllers. Like, what the hell, Nintendo? Where did this come from? But of course, it's been a fantastic hit, man. Everyone loves the Switch. Everyone's buying the Switch. It's breaking records. It's selling like crazy. Nintendo is on top again. Well, you know, on top theoretically. Obviously, PlayStation 4 has more units. But Nintendo is essentially on top of the world. And it's great to see, and it's a great device. It delivers, man, and it gives an amazing home console experience in your hand, or you can just play it on your TV like normal and just have a good old time, and I'm definitely loving it. So, obviously, the other thing I think we think about is the games. I mean, holy freaking cow, the library for this thing is absolutely crazy. I've talked about how great I think the Wii U's library was in 4.5 years. I think in 2 years, the Switch has already pretty much equaled that and is almost getting ready to surpass that library. And that's not only within 2 years, but also with a really slow 2018. Just between 2017 and the few gems in 2018, they're already doing what the Wii U did. And 2019, I mean, holy smokes, so many great games coming in 2019. So clearly they're on point here. And I think that letting the last 2 years of the Wii U kind of fall away to prepare for the launch of the Switch and have the first couple of years for the Switch stacked with great games is amazing. Having a new Zelda, a new Mario, a new Xenoblade, a new Splatoon. I mean, you know, I've got Octopath Traveler right here, a new IP with ARMS. I could just go on and on. There's so many games. We've already got a new Smash Brothers, the best Smash Brothers ever. That's insane. Pokemon's coming this year. Luigi's Mansion's coming back. We got a Fire Emblem on a console again. I mean, Animal Crossing, it goes on and on and on. And so, you know, the most important thing any console needs to do, even a Nintendo console, is have great games. And that's what Nintendo's got with the Switch, man. They have great games in spade, and of course, most of them being first party means most of the excellent library is also exclusive. That is the Nintendo X factor. And beyond that, we're also seeing great third-party support, something that Nintendo has notoriously struggled with for years, for decades, and we finally see some true third-party support coming back to Nintendo in a really strong way. 2019 is definitely showing that with some huge games. And I mean, it's hard to argue with the library, man. So yes, the innovation and the controller and the quirky stuff that Nintendo does is always a humongous factor to their consoles. But beyond that, it's always the games. It's always the library. That's an industry standard for all consoles, and it's always going to be. Games first, everything else second. And Nintendo really has nailed it on all fronts with the Switch. Obviously, their marketing, too. I've talked about this before. This is the strongest they've been with their marketing. They made a huge kind of paradigm shift behind the scenes to treat their business model very differently, and it's obviously worked out. I think their marketing has been great, and it's why the Switch is selling beyond the Switch just being a great product. Let's be real. It's a kick-ass machine. So it's a great product. The marketing's great, so everyone's buying it. And so, I don't know. This is just the Nintendo that I like to see. I then think about how it stacks up to previous Nintendo consoles and how it compares to the PS4 and the Xbox One. And it is definitely not my favorite Nintendo console. I will tell you guys that right now. Spoiler for my list of my favorite video game consoles of all time. It's not my favorite console of all time. It's not my favorite Nintendo console. There are a few that I enjoy more than it. But it's also only 2 years in, and it's pretty high up on that list. So to be fair, that definitely says a lot for what's going on with the Switch. I love the innovation of the portable nature, and I absolutely adore the library, so what's not to love there? As far as comparing it to the PlayStation and Xbox, I mean, you know, those consoles had, what, a 4-year head start, 3.5-year head start on the Switch. And I love the PlayStation 4. I love my Xbox One. I think they're also great machines. I play on them all the time as well. I play across all my machines regularly. Everyone gets love from me. I have a favorite, that's Nintendo, but I am not like a pick and choose kind of guy. Like I experience everything. I think it's the best way and the healthiest way to be a very open-minded and informed gamer. And so when you look at the library of the PlayStation 4, it's pretty darned good too. They haven't pumped them out as fast as Nintendo, but it's a great damned library. It's got some of my favorite games I've ever played on it already. Xbox One obviously has been struggling with games the last couple of years, but they do get great third parties, and they have some killer exclusives from the first year. It's also my favorite controller on the market. But obviously, we know that Nintendo Switch is going to surpass it in sales this year, so that really says something to the success of the Switch as well. I think the difference is, you know, the Switch comes out as more of a direct match and competitor to the PS4 and Xbox One than the Wii U was, but it comes out 3.5 years into their life, and now here we are in 2019, knowing that PS4 and Xbox One are already at the end of their life, whereas the Switch is kind of still getting going. It's only 2 years in, and it brings me back to a conversation I've had with you many times before, and I've stated this, and I'll reiterate it here. As much as I love the Switch, I think it doesn't have the longest life ahead of it. Some people want to believe Kimishima's statement about 10 years. Other people want to think 6, 7, 10 years makes sense for the Switch. And while I wouldn't be sad about it, it's just not what I expect to happen, you guys. I feel like the Switch will, because of the weirdness of when it launched, here we are 2 years in, I think that Nintendo's going to have to make a pretty big jump beyond the Switch within the next 2.5 years. I truly feel the Switch is going to have a 4 to 5 year lifespan, because if PS5 and Xbox 2 are coming out next year, in 2020, I think by 2021, maybe 2022, Nintendo's got to say, bye-bye Switch, you've been great, but it's time to move on. And I know that conversations about a Switch Pro or even a Switch Mini have been happening, and maybe that stuff happens this year. We'll see how that impacts this idea and how that affects the PlayStation and the Xbox. It depends on if they give it a significant jump in power so that it could compete with the PS5 and the Xbox 2, or if they're just trying to do an Xbox Mini to drop the price and just kind of get the components out the door so that they can usher in the new actual successor sooner than later. I mean, who even knows? It's all guessing at this point. That's all I'm doing, is guessing and using my experience as a gamer and a Nintendo fan for like 33 years of my life to kind of put the pieces together and sort of theorize what I think may happen. So it's an interesting conundrum Nintendo's in, with the generation moving on very soon, and with them having this weird half-gen Nintendo Switch that's only a couple of years in. How much time do they give it? Because it's not going to be able to compete long-term with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox One. They can't compete for 3 or 4 or 5 years with the next gen from Sony and Microsoft. They could get away with 1 or 2 years before moving on, but they can't go longer than that. They have to do something to have an answer to PlayStation and Xbox. And yes, I know I always bring this up. People feel that Nintendo doesn't compete with Sony and Microsoft, and they don't compete with Nintendo. And that's just not true, you guys. I just don't truly feel that way. I know that there are ways where they're separate, and Nintendo does see themselves as separate from those guys, and that is great. But overall, I've said this analogy before, I'll say it again, they're all playing in the same sandbox, they are all paying attention to each other, I 110% guarantee it. Yes, all three can try to go their own separate way and carve out their own markets, Nintendo even more so, but they're never going to leave that sandbox. Well, unless Nintendo stops making consoles and starts making only toys, only mobile phone games, and only whatever else, health devices. So if they ever stopped becoming a video game company, yes. But as long as they're making video games and consoles, I'll say, they're all going to be in the same sandbox. That's just the truth of it. Either way, I just wanted to talk about the Nintendo Switch and how great it's been for 2 years. The little console that could, the Switch, you know. What a crazy device. What a crazy time to see Nintendo doing this. Coming off of the Wii, one of the most successful consoles in history, then having one of the least successful consoles in history, the Wii U, and bouncing back so hard and so strong with such a weird, quirky device like the Switch. That is the Nintendo touch, man. That is how they operate. Stop counting them out, guys. Anyone who counts them out and does the whole Nintendo thing, you're done. You're done. You're out of here. No more video games for you, because you clearly don't understand what's going on. Nintendo's been doing this for way too long. Yes, they've had ups and downs, but their ups are always so high that it just shows that they're the ultimate company when it comes to this stuff, man. And this isn't just like my Nintendo fan coming through saying this. It's kind of just a fact. It's sort of just like a matter-of-fact observation of how gaming has played out for 30, 40 years since Nintendo's been a part of it. The facts, the information's right there for all of us to pay attention to. Nintendo's never going to be done unless they decide to be done. If they make the choice to step away, that's just how it is. So, hey, thanks, Nintendo. You made a great kick-ass machine. I love the Switch. Most of us love the Switch. Congratulations on your success. Love seeing you do so well. Very excited for the future. Waiting for that Metroid Prime 4 in about 5 years. You know, hopefully we get that thing sometime kind of soon. And, yeah, 2 years into the Switch, man. Who would have thought? What a crazy ride it's been. So with that, I guess this video's a wrap. So tell me what you guys think. How have you been enjoying the Switch for 2 years? What do you think the future of the Switch and Nintendo is? Talk about that stuff below. That's going to be it for me. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.